السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. والصلاة والسلام على النبي العربي المبعوث للناس أجمعين وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. Dear respected brothers, sisters, mothers, fathers, uncles, everyone who's here, again I want to greet you with the Islamic salutations. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's been a long time since I've been here. I remember Sheikh Abu Usama, when he was the Imam Khatib, he did invite me for a lecture, and after that I haven't been back. So I hope everyone has been well over the years. Today's lecture, as you know, very important lecture. Social media addiction, the digital trap that many of us find ourselves in. Not only here in Liverpool, in the West Midlands, Birmingham, UK, in fact across the world, people are struggling to regain their lives with these small 8-9-inch devices that we have in our hands called the smartphone. We say that these phones allow us to become connected, but we find ourselves to be disconnected more than at any other time in our lives. So what is going on? What is making us hooked with these devices? Inshallah, today's lecture, I'm going to make it's an important lecture that you will benefit from, and I'm going to break it down into 4 key themes. The first part of the lecture, we're going to talk about the important concept of the qimatul waqt, the value of time. How do these phones allow you to maximize your time? Secondly, we'll look at the neuroscience, the cognitive, scientific aspect. What is happening to your brains? How are you becoming trapped with these smartphones? Why do they leave us feeling hooked? Then we'll look at the third segment, which is the social ills, the moral decay that we see on social media that is making us more polarized as an ummah, as human beings. And then fourthly, inshallah, towards the end, I will offer you solutions. Because if you don't have any solutions, when I present to you all the research that I have done, you will walk away from here depressed. Because I will present to you the reality of what is happening, why we are hooked, and then inshallah, I will give you some answers towards the end. Like Sheikh mentioned, towards the end, I'm going to be giving out 2 books as a prize for 2 people who can come to the front and for 2 or 3 minutes speak about their experiences on social media or smartphones. And generally people who do this towards the end, they speak about the negative aspects and how it has negatively impacted them. If you are brave enough to do this towards the end, speak, I will give you the mic, and inshallah you will be able to take this book away with you free. Anyone else who's interested, you can speak to the brothers outside how you can benefit from this book, but I will be giving this book away to 2 people. I have been working on this book for the last few years. I, alhamdulillah, love social sciences. Social sciences means you understand and study human behavior. And whilst I was doing my 2nd master's degree at the University of Kent, I had access to so many research papers about what is taking place with the youngsters when it comes to Facebook and Instagram, how it is giving them anxiety and depression. So then I began to deliver lectures across the country in 2016, 17, 18, highlighting the dangers of smartphones if they are not used properly. Remember, nobody is saying these are haram. It's how you use them. They can be detrimental to your spiritual and mental well-being. And then I decided to write a book about this, offering solutions as well. Because wallahi, there is nothing in the Muslim market about this. This is sadly the reality of the Muslim Ummah. If you go into the non-Muslim segment, you have so many books about digital detox, the importance of balancing your time, not going on social media too much because it will mess you up mentally, spiritually. You will have no vision in life, but Islam, Muslims, I could not find any books on this issue. So as a Muslim educator, I thought it was important to bring this to the Muslim audience. So let's begin with the first most important commodity that is measuring us as we are sitting here. Every one of us here, we only have an appointed time in this dunya. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Anbiya, اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. The day of reckoning is getting closer and closer and closer, yet mankind is ghafil. He's distracted. He doesn't care about this big day, يوم عظيم يوم يقوم الناس لرب العالمين. The day mankind will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet we are just oblivious to this, spending our time, some of us 6 hours a day on our phones, some of us 8 hours a day on our phones, not knowing the day when we will run from each other. The man will run from his wife, the brother from his son, everything. You know this in the Quran is mentioned. Nafsi, nafsi will be the call that we will say, yet we are not preparing for this day. The amount of people that you see who are just zoomed in on this, hooked on this, it's unbelievable. I just came back from Umrah a week ago, and it's heartbreaking to see somebody opening the Mus'haf, reading the Quran. 10 minutes later, you look at him and he's lost. He's forgotten about the Quran. And I see him half an hour later, he's still on the phone. You go for Hajj. How many people do you see in Mina now? In the tents. Before there was dhikr, there was remembrance, Quran, tilawat of the Quran. Now everyone is sitting in the ihrams and they're on the phones. La hawla wa la quwwata. What is going on? Time is very important. This basic surah that we know, any child knows this surah, Suratul Asr. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swears by time, wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr. Verily through the passage of time, every man is in a state of loss. Default position is that we are losers. Illa alladhina amanu. And there's an exception. Allah is now giving us the exception. Those who believe, wa amilu salihat. And then they turn that belief into action. We need Muslims to be men of action, not kalam, action. How many youngsters do you hear nowadays? Allah is swearing by time. Our youngsters say, bro, I'm bored. I want to kill some time. Allah swears about the value of this commodity that you will be asked about on the Day of Judgment, and yet we are saying, bro, I want to kill some time, I'm bored. Then we go into these devices and the games for hours upon hours upon hours. Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah, the great scholar, one of the 4 Imams, he mentions if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only revealed Suratul Asr, not the entire Quran, not the 30 ajza, not the Makki surahs, Madani surahs, just this one surah, this would have been sufficient for mankind to give you an understanding of the value of time. Hassan al-Basri rahimahullah, the great scholar as well, he said man is only 3 days. Past, present and future. With regards to the past, whatever you have done, my brothers and sisters, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that is stamped, sealed, and it has been sent forth on the Day of Judgment. It will be opened. You cannot go into any time machine No matter how many films you watch from Hollywood and say, can I go back to 1996 and undo an action that I did? No. Your past has gone forth. It will be open on the day of judgment. You will see your actions. Your mustaqbal, the future, you are not guaranteed this. Wallahi, a few days ago, I had a message. One of the volunteers, every masjid has volunteers. One of the volunteers from Green Lane Masjid volunteered for 8-10 years, regular taraweeh, regular for the events, high-vis jacket. He passed away. Only young. How did he pass away? Went to sleep in the night time, woke up with a bit of indigestion pain. That's what his family says. Indigestion. He said, Mum, give me some milk. I think I've got gas. Gave him milk. His situation deteriorated. Called the ambulance. Before the ambulance arrived, his soul is taken from his body. How many of you can guarantee that you will live tomorrow? So why are we not maximizing our time? Why are we just wasting our time on these devices? Then Hassan al-Basri says, the future you're not guaranteed. As for the now, the here and the now, the air that you breathe, the life that you have, maximize this. Take advantage of this. Like our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma mentions this hadith collected in the Mustadrak of Al-Hakim. He overheard our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam speaking to a man, giving him nasiha by saying, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. Take advantage of 5 before 5. You will never be in these stages all the time. They will fluctuate. They will go from one part of the spectrum to another. Take advantage. And he began by saying, شبابك قبل هرمك. Take advantage of your youth before old age. Brothers, if you think you've got energy now, you've got vitality, you've got strength, you've got endurance, the whole world is yours, speak to one of the elders sitting here on the chairs. They will say that they were once like you. It seems like only a week or so that they were running around in the streets of Liverpool. And now they find themselves grey hair, arthritis. Where's the time gone? You too will be like this. So how are you utilizing your time that you have? Then our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam mentions the hadith. Some of the points are not relevant. غِنَاكَ قَبْلَ فَقْرِكَ. Your wealth before poverty. فَرَاغَكَ قَبْلَ شُغْلِكَ. Your free time. This is relevant before you become preoccupied. How many brothers do you know? You don't see them for a long time. Brother, where have you been? Ya akhi, I don't even leave the house anymore. Why, ya akhi? What's wrong? My wife, she's got cancer. May Allah protect all our families. My wife, she's got cancer for the last 6 months, just hospital and back, looking after my children, take them to school, feed them. I've got no time for anyone. فَرَاغِكَ قَبْلَ شُغْلِكَ. But our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying that when you were free, how did you use your time? Before Allah tested you with a trial. When you were free like you are now, maybe Allah is not testing you. You wake up in the morning, first thing you do, pull out the phone. 2 hours on the phone. Before you go to sleep, 3 hours on the phone. The free time we have, we are spending on these, medicating our boredom. And then our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam says, the last part of the hadith, حَيَاتَكْ قَبْلَ مَوْتِكَ. Your life before death. Again, like that brother Jangir, rahimahullah, his name was Jangir, may Allah have mercy on him. You don't know when you're going to die, youngsters. Have you prepared for your meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or are we distracted by these devices? So this is important, brothers. These are blessings that we must understand. Like our Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, نِعْمَتَانِ مَغْبُونٌ فِيهِمَا كَثِيرٌ مِنَ النَّاسِ. 2 blessings that we do not even take advantage of. When they go, then we're like, Ya Allah, الصحة والفراغ, free time and your health. You can see me now, right? All of you. Imagine, may Allah protect you, your sight goes. You never used it for good things, you were using it for bad things. And then now you're saying, Ya Allah, please restore my sight. I want to read the Quran. I want to go through the Mus'haf. I want to see the words of Allah, the speech of Allah. You can't. But when Allah gave you the eyes, wasting on the wrong things. Ya Allah, you've taken my hearing. When you had the hearing, you were listening to hip-hop music, gangster music, R&B music. Now you're saying, Ya Allah, just once I want to hear the Imam, I want to hear the Taraweeh prayer. I cannot hear anything, Ya Allah. But when you had it, we didn't spend it in the right manner. So the first point I want to finish on is time. Make sure you maximize your time. Don't be a person who is walking on the earth like an animal that has no vision, purpose, objective. That's what animals do. Haywanat. Eat, sleep, drink, go back to sleep. Eat, wake up, sleep, drink. We have a higher purpose. We are Muslims. Be the best that you can, that Allah has gifted you from the ability. Don't press the self-destruct button by spending 6-7 hours a day on this, and then you look back after 1 year. 2025 will start tomorrow. Not that we measure ourselves with the Gregorian calendar. We have our own Hijri calendar. But if you were to look, ask yourself, what have you done in this entire year? You tell me. Tell me one achievement. And if you look back and you think, subhanallah, another year's gone. So Qimatul Waqt we've covered. Now the second, neuroscience. What is happening to your brain? How have they hooked you? It's a simple tactic that they've been using for 30, 40 years. Before they used to have it in the arcade games. Gambling machines. I don't know if you go to service stations, you can hear some machines and you look and there's colors and the people who are weak, they can't control their brain and they are very instinctive. They will go to the machine and they'll put money in and they'll win. Sometimes they will win, and when they win, they don't move. They put the money back in again. They are hooked. Why are they hooked? Because the engineers have capitalized and manipulated a part of the brain that is to do with the reward and pleasure system. This releases a chemical, a neurotransmitter called dopamine. Allah has created these chemicals in our bodies for a reason. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. Allah has created the man in the best form. Dopamine normally should be triggered when you do something of value. And at the end, you get dopamine release. Meaning, when your fathers used to work in the farm, mother used to be at home looking after the kids, you graft and you work, you harvest, and then when you put the food on the table, you felt good about yourself. Dopamine is released. You get the end reward. Now, you get the cheap dopamine hits by going on Facebook, Instagram, and people give you praise and you get the reward. The dopamine hit. This is simply how it's done. We have Sean Parker, 2005, one of the founding presidents of Facebook. He left. YouTube videos are out there. He said the way we hook you in with Facebook is simple. We play on the vulnerability of the human psychology. How? We created that special red color, especially created for the notifications, that will really be something that captures your attention from all the colors that they've chosen. And every time you get any engagement, any like, comment or share, we give you a dopamine hit. So now we are always looking for the fix. You upload a picture, you don't care what's happening in front of you, you're going to keep going on the phone. Somebody said, MashaAllah, brother, you are looking great. Alhamdulillah. And you're like, okay, dopamine, a drug, addiction. So then you become addicted. Your neural pathways in your brain are now becoming hardwired with a habit that is being formed, that is going to consume your time. Mankind wants praise, recognition, validation. They use these things to keep giving you the dopamine hit. You want things now. You know, it's like going to work and seeing your executive committee. You worked hard for a year. They call you in. Waseem Khan, come to the office. You go to the boardroom. All of the big managers are there. You walk in, nervous. We just want to show you, let you know, Waseem Khan, that we are very happy with your service to work. We've been watching you for the last year. And as a result of this, we just wanted to share some words of praise to you. Waseem Khan's brain, because of that praise, is going to be pumped with dopamine. I'm not going to cry and say, well, I don't like working here. I want to resign. I'm going to feel good about myself. But I've worked 1 year hard, 1 year. Day and night, came on time, made sure, and then they acknowledged my service. They called me to the room. They said, well done. I got my dopamine rush. Imagine you get that every second on your phone. You're not doing anything. You're getting these compliments just by sharing a post, uploading a picture. Today I'm eating pasta. Today I'm eating, and everybody's saying, MashaAllah, brother, you're having a great time. Your brain is being rewired. You're looking for the fix. That's a simple way of telling you how they've done it. You're anticipating the reward. Those of you who are playing games, youngsters, you like playing Fortnite? Why do you think you find yourself hooked on Fortnite? They have specifically created tactics where you want to break that box. What's in there? Is he going to give you a bazooka? Is he going to give you a better weapon? Are you going to get extra lives? So you are hooked. And your mum is saying, son, you've been on the game for 2 hours, come down, it's time for food. You say, mum, not yet, not yet. You're fighting. Another half an hour later, your mum says, son, the food has got cold. And instead of being a good boy and pausing it, going down, you get angry because it's affected your emotional state. You say, mum, shut up. Na'udhu billah. And we've heard these stories. Because it's taken over your brain. The neurochemistry is imbalanced now. This is exactly what's taking place. So, now that you realize dopamine, your brain is being flooded, you don't know what you're like, a drug addict. The key question is, are we able to control this behavior of wanting instant gratification? Or are we strong enough to control ourselves, knowing that it is hijacking our productivity? Are we able to do this? Well, let me explain some research that was done by Walter Mitchell in the 1960s called the marshmallow theory, where he wanted to understand human behavior. Is the human being able to resist temptation, knowing that it is affecting him, and if he's able to control himself and get more rewards, but he has to show some patience. Is he able to do this? So he gathered 50 young students. He took them to a school. He placed them in separate classrooms. Each person was in one room. He put a hidden camera so they didn't know that they were being filmed. And in front of each one, he put a plate of marshmallows, sweets. And he said, I'm going to leave the room for 10 minutes. When I come back, if the sweets are still there, you haven't eaten these sweets, I will give you another plate of sweets. Meaning that the sweets are yours. You have the option to eat now, but if you touch any sweet, you won't get any more sweets in 10 minutes. It's up to you. Up to you. Instant gratification or delayed gratification. Let's see what happened here. The first group, the overwhelming majority of people, before he even turned his back and left the room, they picked up the sweets and they gobbled it up. They were too irresistible. We don't care if you give us a box of sweets. I want it now. That's the first group. The second group, they tried to be clever. They waited 5 minutes, nobody in the room. They didn't know there was a hidden camera. They picked up the sweet, they licked it, and put it back. Who's going to know? Tastes nice. Who's going to know? I won't eat it, but I'll lick it. You know, the sugar, put it back. Second group. The third group, which were only a handful of youngsters, what did they do, subhanAllah? Some of them, they picked up the plate and they put it out of sight. A concept that we know as out of sight, out of mind. If you're struggling with any addiction, pornography addiction, gambling addiction, social media addiction, if it is in front of you all the time, you are finished. If it's out of sight, it's out of mind. Some of them, they didn't even bother touching the plate. They thought that was too much of a sin. They just turned their body, folded their arms, and they waited patiently for the man to come back. Now look at the outcome of this. He just didn't want to know this. He wanted to see how this affected their behavior, and he followed these people for 30 years. Very important now. This is the main point, guys. See what group you fall into. The first group who could not resist the temptation, they wanted instant gratification, expelled from school, in and out of jobs, in and out of prison, in and out of marriage, divorce, not a healthy relationship, not good people in society. That was the first group. The ones who couldn't control their urges and they wanted things now. Instant gratification. The second group, they did okay in life, but they had some issues now and again with the tax authorities. Sometimes they would not pay tax, sometimes they would do part of their gambling nature, trying to avoid the system. These people got caught out, but generally they were okay, hardworking, got to a business, but they were on the wrong side of the law now and again. The third group was the best one. They went to college, university, got a job, happy marriage, house, family, the same friends they had for 30 years before, they had the same relationship. They were the ideal people. This concept, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, it's throughout the Quran. وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. The akhirah is better, more long lasting. Don't go for the immediate. Resist yourself. Be in this dunya, kun fi dunya ka'annaka ghariban u'abiru sabil. Be like a traveler. Don't waste your time. You have Jannah waiting for you. Don't spend 9-10 years on smartphones and distractions when you should be looking at how you're going to raise your status in Jannah. So what do you fall into? You need to think about this. Are you like the first group, instinctive? Thinking about waiting to upload the next post to get the fix? Another thing the social scientists mention is what's happening to the minds of the youngsters. In 2012, there was a research done at Harrisburg University in America, and they wanted to see how university students who didn't go on Facebook for 2 weeks, how that made them feel. After 2 weeks, they said it was the most amazing experience. We could concentrate in our lectures. We had no issues going to sleep. We were doing great work. That was in 2012. In another research in 2014, the top 3 symptoms that they found on university campuses with people who went on Facebook back in those days was anxiety, depression, and sadness. And I'm thinking here that these youngsters are going to be the next generation of doctors and engineers and lawyers, and they themselves are depressed. How are we going to function as a society when people coming out of the system are not mentally well because of these things, not being able to control? Then you have issues with sleep. Again, we're talking about the science here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you a chemical in the brain called what? I'm gonna see who's clever here. Not dopamine, Sheikh. Barakallah, we've gone past dopamine. Begins with the M. Melatonin. It increases in your brain and you get ready to go to sleep. That's why a few brothers are feeling sleepy right now. I'm not hinting at anyone. When it gets dark, especially in the winter, you have this condition called sleep seasonal affective disorder, SAD. People get depression. Why? It gets dark early. You want to sleep. You don't have the sunshine. Allah has given us this thing so that we are ready to unwind, go to sleep, have a good sleep, wake up in the morning, be productive. Guess what happens when you go on the phone? It diminishes your level of melatonin. You're on the phone, bright light, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the evening, phone, 11 o'clock, and you cannot get that proper quality sleep. You wake up in the morning, dark eyes, you're tired, you miss Fajr prayer, you're half empty, your tank doesn't have the focus and the concentration. That's something else that's happening. Another thing that's happening, actually we'll talk about the solutions, but the way to get past this is switch off your phone from 9 o'clock onwards. I never take a call after 8 p.m. Never. My family know, they have my house number. If anything happens, they will call on the house line. I will not go on the phone like this. Because when you have the phone with you, you're going to browse what's happening here, what's happening there. And the final point to do with the second segment before we go to the third segment is Silicon Valley. Those people have specially created features that play on this part of the brain, the dopamine. Do you know what they call TikTok nowadays? TikTok? They call it digital crack. Digital crack. You have crack cocaine, an illegal substance. If you're found with it in this country, you go to jail. It messes up your head. You feel high for a bit, then you come crashing down. They have created videos that are 30 seconds to a minute, and they are pumping your brain with dopamine. So you are waiting for the next video. You're anticipating the next video. Is it going to be an exciting fight? Street fight? Is it going to be a cat video? Is it going to be somebody shouting? Is it going to be a qari who's going to be reciting beautifully? Once you see that, you want to do another one, another one, another one. Next thing you know, 3 hours on TikTok. They have created this to manipulate your brain. So I hope you've understood the second part now, the neuroscience, how your brains, our brains are being hijacked by those people who are making money. And just a side point before we move over, do you know Steve Jobs? Who's Steve Jobs? Does anybody know? Jazakallah khair, the founder of Apple. He's passed away. You know when he introduced Apple, you know what he said to his family? Nobody dare have these devices in your houses. You carry on reading books, you carry on reading, studying. These are there for us to make money. We know what they can do to the concentration, the focus. All these you don't have. The third point, before we come towards the end of the talk, moral decay on the digital world. How many times do you see horrible things that are happening on social media? Trolling and cyberbullying is one. I want the youngsters to really pay attention to this. The bullies have always been around from the beginning of time. You go to the playground, you always have the bully who's name calling, shouting, fighting, swearing. He feels good about himself by picking on other people. That's always been the bully. Now, it's become easier for the bully. How? I present a case in here about a girl, non-Muslim, from Canada, 15 years of age. Everyone has a laptop and computer at home, don't you? She began to engage with somebody of the opposite gender, and she found herself in an uncompromising situation. The person said to her, you know, typical shaitan comes in, I love you, you are this, you are that, and they emotionally break a person down when they become what? Vulnerable. She was groomed. And that person said, send me an inappropriate picture of yourself. And she did this because people are weak. Then he said, I'm not who you thought I was, I am somebody from your school, ha ha, I've got you. All of a sudden, that image now is going across the school, going viral. Wherever she goes into school, everyone's laughing, saying, oh, look at her, that's her, that's her. On days she didn't even want to get out of bed. That's how depressed and miserable she felt. Until 3 months later, enough was enough. One day her parents went into the room, banged on the door. She's not getting out of bed. They found her. She had to hang herself. She killed herself. This is what's happening, brothers. When you cyberbully, you troll somebody, you have a digital footprint for life. Nobody likes this behavior. Because they know that even though Allah is Ghafoor Rahim, You may repent, do tawbah, Allah will forgive you, but society will never forgive you. The shayateen from the ins, they will never forgive you. They will say, and your grandchildren will see pictures about you. Your great-grand, and people will want to kill themselves. Even though suicide is haram in Islam, she killed herself. This is what's happening, brothers. Pay attention, youngsters. Other things that we see are online debates, munadhara. Muslims, we cannot even agree on issues between ourselves, and we have people dying in Palestine because we are so polarized, and we are sitting with each other, YouTube camera, and we are debating, you are mubtadi', you are kafir, and is this Islam? And the non-Muslims are looking at this on YouTube, 3 million views, 4 million views, it's become viral, and they're saying, this is Islam. You cannot even agree to something on yourself. You are shouting, swearing. Look at the comment section, very toxic. May Allah break his back, may Allah kill him, may this. And they're saying, you keep your Islam. Keep your Islam. When you have agreed and you have done things in a character that is befitting scholars and du'at, then we may consider Islam, but at the moment we don't want Islam. How many times do you see these debates on YouTube? Is this healthy for the Muslim community? No. Also, hasad, jealousy. Every time you keep uploading pictures, brother, do you think people are happy? They may say, MashaAllah, but according to the book, I have 80 references here from different topics. One research paper was called, the more you upload about yourself, the more people hate you. The more it puts jealousy into the heart of Bani Adam. Oh, I'm flying, I'm going for holiday, like my new car, my house, I'm going to a restaurant. People will say, okay, mashallah, but deep down they're saying, oh, yeah, I hope he crashes that car. We have to look into the Quran. The best of people, like the brothers, for example, of the sons of Anbiya, the brothers of Yusuf alayhi salam. Our dad loves Yusuf more than he loves us. You know what? We can't stand this anymore. Let's throw him in the well. Let's kill him. Let's lie to father and say, we don't know what happened. Look, a wolf told him, look, here's his blood-stained shirt. If that could happen to the people who were these people who were the brothers, stepbrothers of Yusuf alayhi salam? Were they drug dealers? Na'udhu billah? No. Were they gangsters from Walsall, Birmingham, Bradford, Liverpool? No. They were the sons of Yaqub alayhi salam. Who was Yaqub alayhi salam? The son of Ishaq alayhi salam. Who was Ishaq alayhi salam? The son of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Look at the prophetic lineage, the tarbiyah. Yet shaitan still came in the heart and said, deal with the brother. Jealousy. You think you're going to keep showing everything and people are going to say, they're going to say, I wish he breaks his back. Get the balance. Then we have riya, hidden shirk. Showing off. Wallahi, it makes me spiritually upset when I go for Umrah and Hajj and people doing tawaf around the Kaaba in the Ihram and they got Facebook Live on. Brother, sister, do your ibadah, ask Allah, do dua. No, everybody's watching and they're showing Facebook Live and then, brother, look at me, and they're saying, MashaAllah, MashaAllah. We have lost between us and Allah. Charity work. You heard the famous nasheed, هَلْ لَكَ سِرٌ إِنَّ اللَّهِ بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ. Do you have a secret between you and Allah, just you and Allah? Or are you going to keep showing it to everyone? Now, I was walking home from the masjid, I saw a homeless man, I brought him a cup of coffee, and I'm going to just take a selfie and say and show here, and do you mind, brother? He's like, I don't mind, you gave me a cup of coffee, and then we put it on Facebook and everybody's saying, MashaAllah, you're a great saint, aren't you? Do something between you and Allah, don't tell the world. Umar radiallahu ta'ala an, he used to be sitting after the prayer and used to watch Abu Bakr as-Siddiq wander off somewhere in the morning after Fajr. Where's he going? He's not telling anyone. He used to wander off on the outskirts of Medina, go out into the wilderness, and then he used to follow him a few times. He goes, where's this guy going? Ya Abu Bakr, I hope you're not doing anything bad. You see him going into a tent. Then after a few hours he would come out. So one day Umar is following him, he hides, he waits, he leaves the tent, goes in, comes out, and then today Umar said, you know what, I'm going to have to expose this guy. What's he doing? Is he going there? Is he doing something wrong? So Abu Bakr goes, he waits for him to go, then he comes out of his hiding place, he goes to the tent, he says, my name is Umar. Who's inside? Then he heard the sound of a woman. Some narrations say she was a widow, some narrations say she was blind. She goes, I'm a woman, widow, I have orphan children. What's your issue? What do you want? He said, my name is Umar, I just want to inquire, who is this man who keeps going in and out? Who is he? Is he your relative? He said, I don't know who he is. I don't know his name. All I know is that he comes in every day, asks me how I'm doing, he cooks for me, cleans for me, tends for my affairs, and the same way he comes in discreetly, he leaves the same way discreetly. Umar said, Abu Bakr, you have beaten us today. We do one small good deed, Instagram, TikTok, look at me, everybody, mashallah, what is going on? Have you got anything? This is going to be against us on the Day of Judgment. Brother, I'm going to make dua now in going for Umrah, Ihram, I'm in my Ihram. Brother, stand here with the camera, okay? Not yet. Stand here, the Kaaba is not behind you. Here? Is it okay? Yeah, okay. Make the video. What is this? We are doing these things. We are pressing the self-destruct button. On the Day of Judgment, Allah will say, go to the people and get your reward from the people. You did not do this for me. You did it for Instagram. You did it for TikTok. You did it for Snapchat. Go and get the reward from the people. This was not sincere. So how many times do we end up doing this? And the final few to do with moral decay, illicit affairs, haram relationships, zina. وَلَا تَقْرَبُوا زِنَا إِنَّهُ كَانَ فَاحِشَةً وَسَاءَ سَبِيلًا. Allah said, don't even, forget doing zina, don't even go near it. And how many times do we see somebody messaging somebody, oh, you're looking good, private messaging, and then all of a sudden one thing leads to another. How many broken houses, marriages, a man's gone to work, he's working for his family, somebody who's a predator, a hunter, he begins to message the wife, you're this, if you were my wife, I would make sure that you never have to work a day, you're my princess. Next thing you know, the husband finds out one day, goes to the phone, and he divorces the wife. Even though she has not met the person, but there's been conversations. And any man who has haya for his family, he will not allow this. But shaitan will always come when people are vulnerable. And this is what we are seeing as imams, du'at, when we have cases coming to us, we hear these issues, subhanAllah. Very easy nowadays for somebody. That's why mothers, sisters, if you're listening, mankind is a predator. Even if you are not married, he promises the world to you. Shaitan will make the haram beautified. When you get married, all that stuff goes, you see the reality, and then you divorce. Isn't this what happens? When it's haram, you are messaging each other, pillow talk, when we get married, we're going to do this, we're going to live happily ever after, this. 6 months later, once you get married, the haram becomes halal, but there's no pleasure in this anymore. Then it's, I don't like your personality, I don't like the way you do this, I don't like the way you do this. Islam was never about this. Marriage is never about the outer appearance, it's about you as a person, as a personality. Allah puts love into your relationships. It's not Facebook. It's not Instagram. That's why people look at the outside. Allah doesn't look at the outside, the beauty and the looks. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَى سُوَرِكُمْ وَأَمْوَالِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُمْ. Allah doesn't look at your external, He looks at your internal, your hearts and your actions. Yet Facebook is about looking, or Instagram is about looking a certain way. How many sisters do you see who are injecting their Botox in their lips and plastic, and what is going on? It's all vanity. It's all how you look. So we're coming towards the end now. Solutions, 5 minutes and we'll wrap up inshallah. Qimatul waqt, first. Second, cognitive, how it's messing up you mentally. It's all the dopamine overload, all this. Third is the moral decay that we are seeing, illicit affairs, showing off, jealousy, all of these things are happening. And now, the last point I want to mention, all of the solutions are in the book, and I do not have enough time to go through everything, but khulasa, 5 minutes, let me explain something. Good news to you. Alhamdulillah, this is the way Allah has made us. The way you've been programmed over the years, always going on your phone and you think that's it, you're addicted for life. The social scientists mention that there is a way that you can rewire your brain. It's called neuroplasticity. Your brain has the ability to adapt and rewire and get rid of those habits that have been entrenched and stamped into your brain. It takes a bit of time. Some researchers mention it takes 40 days, 50 days, some say 60 days. But you need to put certain measures in place, and they say the first 20, 15 days are the most hardest. You cannot just get rid of your phone and say, okay, that's it, after today's talk. You can't. We're all addicts. You'll kill someone, your personality will change, you'll go through withdrawal symptoms. So you need to put in certain things, such as, for example, you have certain apps. I put them in the book. One is called App Block from Google Play Store. You download the app, and then it allows you to put down timers for how long you're going to go on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, before it will switch off for that day. So just say, you know what? I've looked at the amount of time I spend on these social media apps, and that's 4 hours a day. That's way too much. I want to go on them for about 1 hour a day or 30 minutes. So you program 10 minutes on each. You give the password to your mother, father, nearest or dearest, because what's going to happen? Once the Facebook switches off after 10 minutes and says, no more Facebook today, wait till tomorrow, you're going to override the system if you have what? The password. If you give it to Sheikh Saab, if you give it to the Imam, if you give it to, they're not going to say, okay, here. They're going to say, no, we had an agreement. You're going to wait till tomorrow. You cannot override the system. So what's happening? Your body is getting used to the fact that there is no way that you have access to your Facebook, TikTok, Instagram till tomorrow. And once tomorrow comes, now you're used to exposing yourself to this social media app for only 10, 15 minutes a day. You're going to slowly start weaning off. That's one way. Second, with the time that is now free, you start doing other things that release endorphins in the brain. The feel-good chemical again that Allah has created. The drug addict, the weak individual, he will look for the quick fix, meaning people who take cocaine and drugs. What does cocaine do to people who take it? One, it messes them up long term, psychosis, schizophrenia. But in the short term, it gives them a temporary high. They feel great. For about an hour, they come crashing down because the brain has been pumped with this chemistry of pleasure. That's for the drug addict. That's haram. That's illegal. For the good Muslim, I want to go for exercise. I want to go on a bike ride. I want to play football. I want to sweat. And when you sweat and you do activity, what happens? Your body releases natural endorphins. You feel good about yourself. You have a shower, you come to the mosque, you pray Jama'ah, you are on cloud 9. Replace those behaviors now. Don't go on the phone too much. Go for a walk as well. Go out into the beauty, tadabbur, tafakkur. Why do you think many of the Anbiya never used to be chilling in the cities and the towns? They would be up in the mountains. They were shepherds. Because when you go to places like the Lake District, when you go into you start to ponder and reflect about life. Things begin to slow down. You hear the lake, the streams, the birds. You think about the beauty of Allah, the creation. And then you think, where am I going in life? You won't get that in Liverpool, brothers, or Birmingham Bullring Centre, or Manchester, hustle, bustle. You get away from all of this. You go to these quiet places and it slows everything down, your brain, and you begin to prepare yourself. And another quick one, I've got 10 solutions for this towards the end, but I'll just give you the last one. You do things such as speak a lot as well. Wallahi, speak a lot. We have lost the art of communication. How many houses do you go through? There's 7 people sitting in the room and they are all what? All absorbed in their phones. No one is speaking to each other. I feel sorry for the elders. They're not savvy on these devices. They want to speak to someone. Son, how was your day? Grandson, how was your day? We walk past them and say, yes, granddaddy was good. We don't give them that time and love and affection. They are like ghosts sitting in the corner. And then the day they die, then we are crying these crocodile tears. Ya Allah, bring my grandmother back. I want to tell her, oh grandfather, I love him. He used to be living with us for 10 years, but we never acknowledged him. He wanted to talk to us, but we said, Dad, no time, Granddad. And now he's dead. Are you going to ever bring him back? It's impossible. So speak to people. The youngsters, unfortunately, based on research, they feel more confident by speaking behind a screen than speaking normally, because that's all they're used to. Lol and all these words, icons, emojis, they cannot speak anymore. They feel shy, they feel anxiety. Allah hasn't created this lisan for no reason other than to speak. The ears to hear, the eyes to see, body language. How are you? You know, can I help you? What's going on? But we are behind these devices here, and it's destroying us mentally. So I want to conclude by saying, these phones are wallahi taking a hold of our lives. My job isn't to say get rid of the phones. No, my job is to say start to use your phones properly. Don't allow these phones to use you. At the moment, the phones are using you. You are not using your phone. The day you start using your phone is when you wake up in the morning and your phone is not even under your pillow. It's downstairs. You wake up, you do your dua, you go down, you do wudu, you go to the masjid, you come back, azkar of the tilawat of the Quran, azkar. Then an hour later, you open the phone for 10-15 minutes. Okay, khalas, nothing amazing. Eat futur, you have breakfast, you go out. You're in control of your phone. Not the other way around. The first thing you do when you pick out of bed, you're in bed for 10 minutes going through your phone, looking at all the horrible things happening in the world, and it's got you off to a bad start in life. The cortisol level is already high in the morning, stress level, hormone, and you've heard the bad news was happening to this person, that person, you're like, I don't want to get out of bed. So we conclude